Yeah, I have a two-part question concerning transportation. Given the price of gas, for somewhere between $4.09 and $4.17 a gallon, there's been some interest in a downtown streetcar network, as many of the cities around the country are beginning to reestablish and plan for. I'd be interested in your comments on that in downtown Fort Wayne as a transportation alternative, and also perhaps a draw for visitors to our community. And secondly, I serve on the CityLink Board of Directors. Our budget's about $11 million. Comparable sized cities in Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, and many other states, even states like Texas, are double and triple that for a city this size, 250,000 plus. If we had additional revenue, or a partnership with the city, or a partnership, public and private partnership to expand that, it would allow for more buses on the street when people can no longer buy the gas. It would also allow for connects to the airport and to other areas that currently are not served because of financial restrictions. So I'd be interested in your comments on this. Thank you.
The first part of the question was your comments about a suggestion. I think it went also to the Legacy Task Force for people movers. So I think they have them in Detroit and other major metropolitan cities as something that could attract people to Fort Wayne and to give them options for transportation since gas has become so exorbitant. And we'll start with Mr. Ferguson.
Well, that's another thing I really haven't ever thought of. I'm not sure what we're talking about as far as public transportation, if we're trying to have a train like the L train in Chicago or what. But I think people are panicking again over the price of gas. And I remember, I think it was toward the end of the Bush administration that gas was over $4 a gallon. I think I paid as much as $4.50 a gallon. And it came back down, and it got down to where it was in the 250s even. And I think that's probably going to happen again. I think we had just a spike going on, but I don't think it's going to last, and I don't think we have to worry too much about public transportation.
Mr. Hall?
On the proposed downtown circulator, the nearest thing that I can recall seeing similar to that is they ran a trolley downtown for a couple of summers, circulating people around from probably made stops at the city county building. I think it went as far south as Lincoln Financial, and then came back around, and we were probably on the north end of it on Superior. And to be totally honest with you, we really didn't see a whole lot of people riding it, probably because it was, obviously during the summer, and you would tend to ride it more in the wintertime. Something like that, it sounds like a nicety, it sounds like an amenity, but it's got to be very, very measured with, what the actual costs of it are up front, what the costs are of it going to be going forward, and do we have a funding source dedicated to that to take us through. To just throw it out there, for whatever reason, I listen to a lot of Cincinnati radio. For one reason or another, 700 WLW comes through pretty well, and those guys, they had a streetcar plan for the city of Cincinnati that was a big hullabaloo for them, and I think ultimately got scrapped, kind of for that same reason, that they just couldn't quite justify. And this was on the order of, like, holy smokes, hundreds of millions of dollars, if I remember right, to the city of Cincinnati. So, it sounds good in theory, but it's going to have to be sustainable. We can't do too much more big ticket stuff that's going to be an ongoing drain financially for the city.
Mr. Paddock?
Well, I think we should always encourage more use of mass transportation, particularly when gasoline is $4, but even if it were $2. Mass transportation, walking even, bicycling, but certainly using other forms of transportation when that's not possible, and moving across the city or even across the state. I want to salute CityLink. I mean, Fred, you folks do an excellent job. Those buses are much more energy efficient than when they were in the good old days. The bus drivers are very courteous, I find, and they obey the laws, and I think they provide a good service. I think that's slowly catching on as you expand your routes and you add more bus stops and you make it easier for people to get to. It's starting to catch on, and particularly with gas prices going up. You know, we didn't talk about transportation outside of the city. I've been one of those people who's been banging my head against the wall for over a decade, trying to get the state of Indiana and the federal government, particularly the state, to pay more attention in investing in rail service. We need passenger rail service in Fort Wayne, and a train that gets us to Chicago in a couple of hours or so. That would open up an important third leg of transportation, save energy, move folks who are disabled and can't drive or can't fly, and create 300 to 500 jobs in Fort Wayne and maybe thousands across the state of Indiana. Now, a city councilman doesn't have a direct role in that, but certainly a person who's in that position can use a bully pulpit and maybe get a phone call returned from a governor's aide or somebody to try to continue to move that issue forward and get some state funding eventually to make some improvements for rail development across our state that would serve our city. So more mass transportation. I agree, the city doesn't have a magic wand to come up with more funds, but I think as CityLink continues to do its job, it becomes more attractive for people. And I do think, again, investing in rail would be an important job creator and an important transportation alternative for our area.